The Browning Automatic Rifle, BAR, is a family of American automatic rifles and machine guns used by the United States and numerous other countries during the 20th century. The primary variant of the BAR series was the M1918, chambered for the .30-06 Springfield rifle cartridge and designed by John Browning in 1917 for the U.S. Expeditionary Corps in Europe as a replacement for the French-made Chauchat and M1909 Bennett Mercy machine guns that U.S. forces had previously been issued. The BAR was designed to be carried by infantrymen during an assault advance while supported by the sling over the shoulder, or to be fired from the hip. This is a concept called walking fire thought to be necessary for the individual soldier during trench warfare. The BAR never entirely lived up to the original hopes of the War Department as either a rifle or a machine gun. The U.S. Army, in practice, used the BAR as a light machine gun, often fired from a bipod, introduced on models after 1938. A variant of the original M1918 BAR, the Colt Monitor machine rifle, remains the lightest production automatic gun to fire the .30-06 Springfield cartridge, though the limited capacity of its standard 20-round magazine tended to hamper its utility in that role. Although the weapon did see some action in World War I, the BAR did not become standard issue in the U.S. Army until 1938, when it was issued to squads as a portable light machine gun. The BAR saw extensive service in both World War II and the Korean War and saw limited service in the Vietnam War. The U.S. Army began phasing out the BAR in the late 1950s, when it was intended to be replaced by a squad automatic weapon, SAW, variant of the M14, and was without a portable light machine gun until the introduction of the M60 machine gun in 1957. The M60, however, was really a general-purpose machine gun, GPMG, and was used as a SAW only because the Army had no other tool for the job until the M249 squad automatic weapon in the mid-1980s. History. The U.S. entered World War I with an inadequate, small, and obsolete assortment of domestic and foreign machine gun designs, due primarily to bureaucratic indecision and the lack of an established military doctrine for their employment. When the 1917 United States Declaration of War on Germany was announced on April 6, 1917, the High Command was made aware that to fight this trench war, dominated by machine guns, they had on hand a mere 670 M1909 Bennett Mercies, 282 M1904 Maxims and 158 Colts, M1895s. After much debate, it was finally agreed that a rapid rearmament with domestic weapons would be required, but until that time, U.S. troops would be issued whatever the French and British had to offer. The arms donated by the French were often second-rate or surplus and chambered in 8mm level, further complicating logistics as machine gunners and infantrymen were issued different types of ammunition. Development. In 1917, prior to America's entry to the war, John Browning personally brought to Washington, D.C. two types of automatic weapons for the purposes of demonstration, a water-cooled machine gun, later adopted as the M1917 Browning machine gun, and a shoulder-fired automatic rifle known then as the Browning machine rifle or BMR, both chambered for the standard U.S. .30-06 Springfield cartridge. Browning had arranged for a public demonstration of both weapons at a location in southern Washington, D.C. known as Congress Heights. There, on February 27, 1917, in front of a crowd of 300 people, including high-ranking military officials, congressmen, senators, foreign dignitaries, and the press, Browning staged a live-fire demonstration which so impressed the gathered crowd, that he was immediately awarded a contract for the weapon and it was hastily adopted into service. The water-cooled machine gun underwent further testing. Additional tests were conducted for U.S. Army Ordnance officials at Springfield Armory in May 1917, and both weapons were unanimously recommended for immediate adoption. In order to avoid confusion with the belt-fed M1917 machine gun, the BAR came to be known as the M1918 or rifle, caliber .30, automatic, Browning, M1918 according to official nomenclature. On July 16, 1917, 12,000 bars were ordered from Colt's Patent Firearms Manufacturing Company, which had secured an exclusive concession to manufacture the bar under Browning's patents. Browning's U.S. patent 1,293,022 was owned by Colt. However, Colt was already producing at peak capacity, contracted to manufacture the Vickers machine gun for the British Army, and requested a delay in production while they expanded their manufacturing output with a new facility in Meriden, Connecticut. Due to the urgent need for the weapon, the request was denied and the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, RAC, was designated as the prime contractor. Winchester gave valuable assistance in refining the bar's final design, correcting the drawings in preparation for mass production. Among the changes made, the ejection pattern was modified, spent casings were directed to the right side of the weapon instead of straight up. Initial M1918 production. Since work on the gun did not begin until February 1918, so hurried was the schedule at Winchester to bring the bar into full production that the first production batch of 1,800 guns was delivered out of spec. It was discovered that many components did not interchange between rifles, and production was temporarily halted until manufacturing procedures were upgraded to bring the weapon up to specifications. The initial contract with Winchester called for 25,000 bars. They were in full production by June 1918, delivering 4,000 guns, and from July were turning out 9,000 units per month. Colt and Marlin Rockwell Corp also began production shortly after Winchester got into full production. Marlin Rockwell, burdened by a contract to make rifles for the Belgian government, acquired the Mayo Radiator Co.'s factory and used it exclusively to carry out production of the bar. The first unit from this source was delivered on June 11, 1918, and the company's peak output reached 200 automatic rifles per day. Colt had produced only 9,000 bars by the time of the armistice due to the heavy demands of previous orders. These three companies produced a combined daily output of 706 rifles, and a total of approximately 52,000 bars were delivered by all sources by the end of the war. Between 1918 and 1919, 100 and 2,174 bars had been manufactured jointly by Colt, Winchester, and Marlin Rockwell. By July 1918, the bar had begun to arrive in France, and the first unit to receive them was the U.S. Army's 79th Infantry Division, which took them into action for the first time on September 13, 1918. The weapon was personally demonstrated against the enemy by 2nd Lieutenant Val Allen Browning, the inventor's son. Despite being introduced very late in the war, the bar made an impact disproportionate to its numbers. It was used extensively during the Meuse-Argonne offensive and made a significant impression on the Allies. France alone requested 15,000 automatic rifles to replace their notoriously unreliable Chauchat machine rifles. United States Marines briefly took possession of the bar. Marines from the 1st Battalion of the 6th Marines had talked the doggies of the United States 36th Division into trading their Browning automatic rifles for their Chauchats. But complaints from officers of the 36th resulted in the issuance of a command from Marine LTCOL Harry Lee on October 9, 1918, all Browning guns and equipment in Marine possession were to be turned in. Design details and accessories. The M1918 is a selective fire, air-cooled automatic rifle using a gas-operated long-stroke piston rod actuated by propellant gases bled through a vent in the barrel. The bolt is locked by a rising bolt lock. The gun fires from an open bolt. The spring-powered cartridge casing extractor is contained in the bolt and a fixed ejector is installed in the trigger group. The bar is striker-fired, the bolt carrier serves as the striker, and uses a trigger mechanism with a fire selector lever that enables operating in either semi-automatic or fully automatic firing modes. The selector lever is located on the left side of the receiver and is simultaneously the manual safety. Selector lever in the S position. Weapon is safe, F fire, A automatic fire. The safe setting blocks the trigger. The weapon's barrel is screwed into the receiver and is not quickly detachable. The M1918 feeds using double-column 20-round box magazines. Although 40-round magazines were also used in an anti-aircraft role, these were withdrawn from use in 1927. The M1918 has a cylindrical flash suppressor fitted to the muzzle end. The original bar was equipped with a fixed wooden buttstock and closed-type adjustable iron sights, consisting of a forward post and a rear leaf sight with 100 to 1,500 yard, 91 to 1,372 m, range graduations. As a heavy automatic rifle designed for support fire, the M1918 was not fitted with a bayonet mount and no bayonet was ever issued. Only one experimental bayonet fitting was ever made for the bar by Winchester. This was a standard, M1917 bayonet fitted at the Winchester factory with a special muzzle ring. The bayonet was attached to a standard M1918 bar by means of a special experimental flash hider assembly. This prototype bayonet flash hider assembly came from the Winchester in-house factory museum in New Haven, Connecticut, with a tag printed on one side Winchester repeating Arms Co/New Haven Con, and handwritten on the other side, combined flash hider, front sight, and bayonet mount for Browning automatic rifle model 1918 with bayonet and scabbard and the date, September 7, 1918. There is no evidence whatsoever of military adoption nor a military stock number, name, or classification. Variants and subsequent models. During its lengthy service life, the bar underwent continuous development, receiving many improvements and modifications. The first major attempt at improving the M1918 resulted in the M1922 machine rifle, adopted by the United States Cavalry in 1922 as a troop-level light machine gun. The weapon used a new heavy-profile ribbed barrel, an adjustable spiked bipod, mounted to a swiveling collar on the barrel, with a rear, stock-mounted monopod, a side-mounted sling swivel and a new rear end plate, fixed to the stock retaining sleeve. The handguard was changed, and in 1926, the bar's sights were redesigned to accommodate the heavy bullet 172 grain M1.3006 ball ammunition then coming into service for machine gun use. In 1931, the Colt Arms Co. introduced the Monitor automatic machine rifle, R80, intended primarily for use by prison guards and law enforcement agencies. Intended for use as a shoulder-fired automatic rifle, the Monitor omitted the bipod, instead featuring a separate pistol grip and buttstock attached to a lightweight receiver, along with a shortened, 458 mm, 18.0 in, barrel fitted with a 4-inch, 100 mm, cuts compensator. Weighing 16 pounds 3 ounces, 7.34 kilograms, empty, the Monitor had a rate of fire of approximately 500 rpm. Around 125 were produced, 90 were purchased by the FBI. 11 went to the U.S. Treasury Department in 1934, while the rest went to various state prisons, banks, security companies, and accredited police departments. Although available for export sale, no examples appear to have been exported. In 1932, a greatly shortened version designed for bush warfare was developed by USMC Major H. L. Smith, and was the subject of an evaluative report by Captain Merritt A. Edson, ordnance officer at the Quartermaster's Depot in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The barrel was shortened 9 inches, 229 mm, at the muzzle, and the gas port and gas cylinder tube were relocated. The modified bar weighed 13 pounds 12 ounces, 6.24 kilograms, and was only 34.5 inches, 880 mm, long overall. Though it proved superior to the M1918 in accuracy when fired prone in automatic mode and equal in accuracy to the standard M1918 at ranges of 500 to 600 yards, 465-50 m, from a rest, it was less accurate when fired from the shoulder, and had a loud report combined with a fierce muzzle blast. Attaching a cuts compensator materially reduced the muzzle blast, but this was more than offset by the increase in smoke and dust at the muzzle when fired, obscuring the operator's vision. Nor did it improve control of the weapon when fired in bursts of automatic fire. Though the report recommended building 6 of these short-barreled jungle bars for further evaluation, no further work was done on the project. The M1918A1, featuring a lightweight spiked bipod, with a leg height adjustment feature, attached to the gas cylinder and a hinged steel butt plate, was formally approved on June 24, 1937. The M1918A1 was intended to increase the weapon's effectiveness and controllability, firing in bursts. Relatively few M1918s were rebuilt to the new M1918A1 standard. In April 1938, work commenced on an improved bar for the U.S. Army. The latter specified a need for a bar designed to serve in the role of a light machine gun for squad-level support fire. Early prototypes were fitted with barrel-mounted bipods, as well as pistol grip housings and a unique rate of fire reducer mechanism purchased from FN Herstal. The rate reducer mechanism performed well in trials, and the pistol grip housing enabled the operator to fire more comfortably from the prone position. However, in 1939 the Army declared that all modifications to the basic bar be capable of being retrofitted to earlier M1918 guns with no loss of parts interchangeability. This effectively killed the FN-designed pistol grip and its proven rate reducer mechanism for the new M1918 replacement. Final development of the M1918A2 was authorized on June 30, 1938. The FN-designed pistol grip and rate reducer mechanism with 2 rates of automatic fire was shelved in favor of a rate reducer mechanism designed by Springfield Armory, and housed in the buttstock. The Springfield Armory rate reducer also provided 2 selectable rates of fully automatic fire only, activated by engaging the selector toggle. Additionally, a skid-footed bipod was fitted to the muzzle end of the barrel, magazine guides were added to the front of the trigger guard, the handguard was shortened, a heat shield was added to help the cooling process, a small separate stock rest, monopod, was included for attachment to the butt, and the weapon's role was changed to that of a squad light machine gun. The bar's rear sight scales were also modified to accommodate the newly standardized M2 ball ammunition with its lighter, flat base bullet. The M1918A2's walnut buttstock is approximately 1 inch, 2.5 centimeters, longer than the M1918 bar's buttstock. The M1918A2's barrel was also fitted with a new flash suppressor, and fully adjustable iron sights. Late in the war, a barrel-mounted carrying handle was added. Because of budget limitations, initial M1918A2 production consisted of conversions of older M1918 bars, remaining in surplus, along with a limited number of M1922s and M1918A1s. After the outbreak of war, attempts to ramp up new M1918A2 production were stymied by the discovery that the World War I tooling used to produce the M1918 was either worn out or incompatible with modern production machinery. New production was first undertaken at the New England Small Arms Corp and International Business Machines Corp. A total of 188,380 new weapons were manufactured. In 1942, a shortage of black walnut for buttstocks and grips led to the development of a black plastic buttstock for the bar. Composed of a mixture of bakelite and resinox, and impregnated with shredded fabric, the buttstocks were sandblasted to reduce glare. The Firestone Rubber and Latex Products Company produced the plastic buttstock for the U.S. Army, which was formally adopted on March 21, 1942. The M1922 machine rifle was declared obsolete in 1940, but they were used by Merrill's Marauders in Burma later in the war as a slightly lighter alternative to the M1918A2. Production rates greatly increased in 1943 after IBM introduced a method of casting bar receivers from a new type of malleable pig iron developed by the Saginaw division of General Motors, called Armasteel. After successfully passing a series of tests at Springfield Armory, the Chief of Ordnance instructed other bar receiver manufacturers to change over from steel to Armasteel castings for this part. During the Korean War, M1918A2 production was resumed, this time contracted to the Royal McBee Typewriter Co., which produced an additional 61,000 M1918A2s. Heavy counter-assault rifle. In 2006, Ohio Ordnance Works worked on the 21st century modernization of the bar, named the Heavy Counter-Assault Rifle, HCAR. The Ohio Ordnance Works HCAR includes improvements such as an AR-style buffer tube with adjustable stock, an optional 16 shortened barrel with adjustable gas regulator, handguard, and receiver Picatinny rails as well as a suppressor-compatible flash hider. It also addresses the original bar's weight issue through material reduction by machining material from the receiver, and through a dimpled barrel removing 8 pounds overall. International and commercial models. Export models. The bar also found a ready market overseas and in various forms was widely exported. In 1919, the Colt's company developed and produced a commercial variant called the Automatic Machine Rifle Model 1919, company designation, Model U, which has a different return mechanism compared to the M1918, it is installed in the stock rather than the gas tube, and lacks a flash hider. Later the Model 1924 rifle was offered for a short period of time, featuring a pistol grip and a redesigned handguard. These Colt automatic rifles were available in a number of calibers, including .30-06 Springfield, 7.62 x 63 mm, 7.65 x 53 mm Belgian Mauser, 7 x 57 mm Mauser, 6.5 x 55 mm, 7.92 x 57 mm Mauser and .303 British, 7.7 x 56 mm R. All of the 6.5 x 55 mm caliber Colt automatic rifles appear to have been sold directly to FN. An improved version of the Model 1924, the Model 1925, R75, has achieved the highest popularity in export sales. It is based on the Model 1924 but uses a heavy, finned barrel, a lightweight bipod and is equipped with dust covers in the magazine well and ejection port. Some of these features were patented, U.S. Patents NOS 154, 8709 and 153, 3968. The Model 1925 was produced in various calibers, including .30-06 Springfield, 7.62 x 63 mm, 7.65 x 53 mm Belgian Mauser, 7 x 57 mm Mauser, 7.92 x 57 mm Mauser, and .303 British, 7.7 x 56 mm R. No Colt manufactured Model 1925 rifles in 6.5 x 55 mm appear to have been sold. A minor variant of the Model 1925, R75, was the R75A light machine gun with a quick-change barrel, produced in 1924 in small quantities for the Dutch Army. Between 1921 and 1928, FN Herstal imported over 800 Colt manufactured examples of the Colt machine rifles for sale abroad. All of the Colt automatic machine rifles, including the Colt Monitor, were available for export sale. After 1929, the Model 1925 and the Colt Monitor were available for export sale in Colt's exclusive sales territories per its agreement with FN. These Colt territories included North America, Central America, the West Indies, South America, Great Britain, Russia, Turkey, Siam, Thailand, India, and Australia. Belgium. A variant known as the FN MLE 1930 was developed in 7.65 x 53 mm Belgian Mauser by FN Herstal and adopted by the Belgian Army. The MLE 1930 is basically a licensed copy of the Colt automatic machine rifle, Model 1925, R75. The MLE 1930 has a different gas valve and a mechanical rate-reducing fire control mechanism designed by Du Donsive, located in the trigger guard pistol grip housing. Some of these FN rate reducer mechanisms and pistol grip housings were later purchased by Springfield Armory for evaluation and possible adoption on a replacement for the M1918. The weapon also had a hinged shoulder plate and was adapted for use on a tripod mount. In 1932, Belgium adopted a new version of the FN MLE 1930 allocated the service designation FN MLED, demontable or removable, which had a quick-change barrel, shoulder rest, and a simplified takedown method for eased cleaning and maintenance. The MLED was produced even after World War II in versions adapted for .30-06 Springfield and NATO standard 7.62 x 51 mm ammunition. The final variant in Belgian service was the Model DA1 chambered for the 7.62 x 51 mm NATO cartridge and feeding from the 20-round magazines for the FN FAL rifle. Poland. Production of the bar in Belgium began only after signing an agreement with Poland, on December 10, 1927, involving the procurement of 10,000 WZ. 1928 light machine guns chambered in 7.92 x 57 mm Mauser, which are similar to the R-75 variant but designed specifically to meet the requirements of the Polish Army. Changes to the base design include a pistol grip, different type of bipod, open-type V-notch rear sight and a slightly longer barrel. Subsequent rifles were assembled locally in Poland under license by the State Rifle Factory, Państwowa Fabryka Karabinowa, in Warsaw. The WZ 1928 was accepted into service with the Polish Army in 1927 under the formal name 7,92 mm RKM Browning WZ. 1928 and until the outbreak of World War II was the primary light support weapon of Polish infantry and cavalry formations. In 1939 Poland had a total of approximately 20,000 WZ 1928 rifles in service. Additional detail modifications were introduced on the production line. Among them was the replacement of the iron sights with a smaller version and reshaping the butt to a fish tail. In the mid-1930s, Polish small arms designer Wawrzyniak Lewandowski was tasked with developing a flexible aircraft-mounted machine gun based on the Browning WZ.1928. This resulted in the WZ. 1937 changes included increasing the weapon's rate of fire to 1,100 rounds/min, eliminating the buttstock, adding a spade-type grip to the rear of receiver, moving the main drive spring under the barrel and most importantly changing the feed system. Sustained fire was practically impossible with the standard 20-round box magazine, thus a new feed mechanism was developed which was added to the receiver as a module. It contains a spring-loaded bolt-actuated lever, which would feed a round from a 91-round pan magazine located above the receiver and force the round into the feed path during unlocking. The machine gun was accepted in 1937 and ordered by the Polish Air Force as the Karabin Maszynowy Obserwatora WZ. 1937, Observer's Machine Gun Model 1937. 339 machine guns were eventually acquired and used as armament in the PZL.37 Los medium bomber and the LWS-3 war reconnaissance aircraft. Sweden. In 1920, the Belgian arms manufacturer Fabrique Nationale, FN, acquired sales and production rights to the Bar series of firearms in Europe from Colt. The first Bar model sold by FN was the KG-M/21, KG Kulsprudejevar or machine gun rifle, chambered for the 6.5 x 55 mm M/94 cartridge. The M/21 is a variant of the model 1919 designed to Swedish specifications and manufactured initially by Colts and later under license at the Carl Gustaf Stadsgevarsfactory in Eskilstuna. Compared to the model 1919, the Swedish weapon has apart from the different caliber a spiked bipod and pistol grip. The M/21 would become one of Sweden's main support weapons in the interwar years together with the water-cooled belt-fed KSP M/1914 medium machine gun, Swedish adaptation of the Austrian M07/12. Dissatisfied with the rapidly overheating fixed barrel of the M/21, Carl Gustaf began to design a new quick-detach mechanism for the barrel which mates the externally grooved chamber to a series of rotating flanges in the receiver operated by a locking lever. The barrel also received cooling fins along its entire length. These enhancements were incorporated into the FM/1935 prototype which was favorably evaluated during trials in 1935. The final version was the KG-M/37, adopted for service in 1937, which uses a smooth contour, unfinned barrel. Numerous M/21 guns were retrofitted with the screw-on receiver extension and quick-change barrel, and renamed the KG-M/2137. The M/37 remained in service until being replaced by the FN MAG, but was still in second-line use until 1980. Carl Gustaf also developed a belt-fed prototype, however, it was never adopted. China. The Chinese Nationalist Army used the FN M1930 throughout the Second Sino-Japanese War. The Chinese bar was chambered for the German 7.92 x 57 mm Mauser round, the standard rifle cartridge of the National Revolutionary Army. After the outbreak of the Pacific War, the Chinese Expeditionary Army in Burma was equipped with American bars. Towards the end of the war, small quantities of American equipment, including the bar, made their way into mainland China. Civilian use. With the cessation of WWI hostilities, Colt Arms Co. received the Browning patents to produce the bar that had been withheld from issue during the war. This allowed Colt to make the bar available for commercial sale, including sale to civilian owners. The Colt automatic machine rifle model 1919, initially made up of overruns from the M1918 military production contract, was the first of several commercial Colt bars that would follow. However, the high price of the weapon and its limited utility for most civilian owners resulted in few sales. Ad Topperveen, a famous trick shooter of the early 1920s, purchased one of the first Colt-produced bars to perform aerial target shooting exhibitions. Occasional bar sales were made to civilian owners through distributors such as the ODT High School Hardware Co. In 1931, the new Colt monitor was made available to civilians during the Depression at $300 each, including a spare parts kit, sling, cleaning accessories, and 6 magazines, but Colt records indicate no domestic sales to individuals. After passage of the National Firearms Act of 1934, civilian bar ownership was restricted even further. Importation of machine guns for U.S. civilian transfer was banned in 1968, and U.S. production of machine guns for civilian transfer was banned in 1986. However, some transferable civilian-owned bar models exist in the United States, and occasionally come up for sale to qualified buyers. Some companies are manufacturing semi-automatic copies for sale to civilians. Ohio Ordnance Works, Inc., in Chardon, Ohio holds an exclusive patent for the 1918 A3 SLR, self-loading rifle, which is a contemporary semi-automatic variant of the M1918 and is legal for civilians to own. Criminal and law enforcement use. Although the Colt monitor version of the bar failed to interest U.S. civilian buyers in the midst of the Depression, the underworld was a lot more interested. In 1936, the price of a black market Colt monitor was USD $5,000, with military bars going for somewhat less. The Army's M1918 was a favorite of gangster Clyde Barrow, who obtained his examples through periodic robberies of Army National Guard armories in the Midwest. Barrow liked to use armor-piercing, AP.3006 ammunition he obtained from armory stores, and frequently modified his bars to suit his own needs. Barrow taught his girlfriend Bonnie Parker to fire the M1918 as well, and by all accounts she was an excellent bar operator. Parker used an M1918 on full automatic to pin down unsuspecting law officers after they confronted the gang at a house in Joplin, Missouri. A Missouri highway patrolman at the scene, forced to dive for cover behind a substantial oak tree after Bonnie Parker opened up on him, later stated, "That little red-headed woman filled my face with splinters on the other side of that tree with one of those damned guns." As the use of automatic weapons by criminal elements in the United States became more widespread, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover ordered the FBI to acquire and commence regular training with automatic shoulder weapons, including the Thompson submachine gun and the bar. For its bars, the FBI turned to Colt, which sold 90 Colt Monitor automatic machine rifles to the agency. Some of the FBI's monitors were distributed to FBI field offices for use as support weapons if needed on a particular operation, while the remainder were retained at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia for training purposes. Colt sold an additional 11 Colt monitors to the U.S. Treasury Department in 1934, while 24 guns were sold to state prisons, banks, security companies, and accredited city, county, and state police departments. At least one member of the ambush team who killed Bonnie and Clyde was armed with a Colt monitor. Although it has sometimes been alleged that the M1918 or M1918A2 Browning automatic rifle was used by members of the Symbionese Liberation Army, SLA, in their wild shootout with Los Angeles police on May 17, 1974, no SLA members ever used such a weapon. The confusion arose out of Browning's decision in the 1970s to also designate its semi-automatic hunting rifle the Browning Bar. This law converted a .3006 Browning bar hunting rifle and a .243 Remington Model 742 to automatic fire by filing down the sear, and it was these weapons that were used in the shootout. In U.S. military service. World War I. At its inception, the M1918 was intended to be used as a shoulder-fired rifle capable of both semi-automatic and fully automatic fire. First issued in September 1918 to the AEF, it was based on the concept of walking fire, a French practice in use since 1916 for which the CSRG 1915, Chow Chat, had been used accompanying advancing squads of riflemen toward the enemy trenches, as regular machine guns were too cumbersome to move with the troops during an assault. In addition to shoulder-fired operation, bar gunners were issued a belt with magazine pouches for the bar.
Please subscribe and thanks for watching.